right, Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse has been reinstated by the courts, but she may be on borrowed time since another motion of no confidence against her has been proposed and has been approved, with a meeting expected to sit on Thursday. The motion was brought by the ANC a few days after Dada Morero was removed as mayor by the Joburg High Court. He had come in after the first motion against Phalatse succeeded following a breakdown in relations between the DA and its alliance partners in the city. Of course, she is a DA mayor. We're now joined by Johannesburg Mayor Dr. Mpho Phalatse. Thank you for being with us. Mayor, what are you expecting on Thursday?
Well, we've actually received a communication from the Speaker's lawyers this morning that they will no longer be tabling the motion of no confidence on Thursday, following our lawyers writing to them, making them aware of the illegal nature of that motion, given that they brought back the same inadmissible motion that they had used on the 30th of September. They've since had a rethink and they've since decided to withdraw that motion that was to serve on Thursday.
Can you tell us why it was inadmissible? According to reports, the judge was concerned with what you had raised the last time, that the Speaker let a lot of time pass before the vote. I think it was 16 hours that was cited. What was wrong the last time, and why do you say this is unlawful this time?
So there were a number of issues that were raised the last time, and yes, some of them were process issues in terms of the lead time to a meeting being held, having sufficient notice so councillors can attend meetings. We know that the programming committee on the 29th of September was incorrect, as an example, because of the extremely short notice of about 3 hours. We also know that the council meeting subsequent to that on the 30th of September was very poorly attended again because of the extremely short notice of less than 24 hours. Now, those are just some of the issues, but let's talk about the motion itself. Now, we've got rules in council, and the rules of council give certain criteria that would render a motion admissible and would allow that motion then to be tabled in council, to be debated and to be voted on. Unfortunately, this motion that they had brought to the programming meeting on the 29th of September had already been deemed inadmissible by a previous programming meeting on grounds that one of the items listed in that motion is currently before the courts, and that would therefore disqualify it from being considered by council. It's one of the rules. You can't bring a motion on an item that's sitting before the courts. Now, there was a bit of debate on whether or not that is the case, and we've got evidence that yes, indeed, the matter is before the courts, and therefore the motion was inadmissible. Unfortunately, the Speaker then decided to bring the very same inadmissible motion, and she was planning to table the very same motion in the council meeting on Thursday.
There has been another debate around all this. Should politics be fought in the courts? And if these are technicalities, then surely the ANC-led grouping that is against you will eventually cross the T's, dot the I's, and the motion will go ahead. The legal fights don't put you in a firm position politically. So, Mayor, you're not expecting this to come at some time anyway?
The motion can come, and I have no problem with a legal motion serving in council. This is not a political battle. This is a legal battle, and we need to separate between the two. We need to protect our institutions. We need to protect the Joburg Council as an institution that is governed by laws, the Constitution, the Structures Act, as well as the rules of council, and that needs to be upheld and protected at all times. So at no point should we treat it as though it's just an entity that can be run without observing the rule of law. Now, that's the legal battle. We must protect our democracy, and we must protect our right to be protected by the laws that govern us. The political battle is a different battle, and yes, that's not fought in the courts. We never engage the courts on political matters. We only engage the courts on legal matters.
All right, so when it comes down to the politics, when it comes down to the voting, how are the numbers looking? I think after the breakdown in relations last time, you said going into this time, Action SA is standing with you again. Can you confirm that? But you lost the Patriotic Alliance. Can you tell us about your relationship with the PA right now? And obviously you lost Cope, the Speaker. It seems like you have a fractious relationship with her. She's from Cope and voted against you, I understand.
Well, yes. So if you recall, when the speaker was ousted, Speaker Vasco da Gama, at that point we severed ties, I would say, with the speaker from COPE. COPE itself had not severed ties with the coalition at that point because, there were also divisions within COPE as to whether or not they stand with her and they support her actions. So there were some leaders within COPE that felt that she had acted inappropriately and that COPE was in fact still part of the coalition. But because of the confusion within COPE, we decided to exclude COPE from the coalition until such time they've decided where they stand and they're able to deal with their own internal matters. We also lost the ATM. The ATM actually issued a directive to their councillor to vote against the multi-party government, and so we severed ties with them as well. You'll note that the UIM councillor that voted against us was replaced by a new UIM councillor. That councillor is still with us, and the UIM is still part of the coalition. The IFP also had a councillor that was expelled and replaced. The IFP is still part of the coalition. ACDP, same. 2 councillors were expelled and replaced. ACDP is still a member of the coalition. Action SA replaced 1, and it's still a member of the coalition. As we speak, the only party that we've severed ties with recently is the Patriotic Alliance, who left when a new speaker was elected. Otherwise, all the other members are still on board. We are back now in office since we were reinstated by the courts, and the mayoral committee is fully intact except for the one MMC that was from the Patriotic Alliance in charge of health and social development, and I've appointed MMC Harris from community development to take care of that portfolio until further notice.
All right, so you've lost the PA, COPE, you're saying Action SA is back, UIM, IFP is back, ACDP times 2 members is back. What does that mean if it went down to the vote? And Mayor, I'm putting this to you because many analysts are saying, look, the numbers are against you. So fight as you wish. Politically, the numbers are against you. Is that true or not? Last time it was 139 votes against you. Have you managed to change that? How are the numbers looking now?
Well, this is politics. We negotiate daily. We hope for a different outcome next time around. Our national leaders are engaged in talks. We engaged in talks at a local level. It's still early days to talk about how those are going and who we're talking to. At the right time, I suppose we'll come out and say how that's looking. That's all part of our strategy. But we never give up and fold our arms and say, well, the city's gone to corrupt individuals whose only interest is to loot the city's coffers. We're going to do everything in our power to try and save the city.
Are you talking to the EFF after the DA, your own party, said that was a step too far?
The DA did not say it was a step too far. The Democratic Alliance, FedEx, decided that they're not going to have any dealings, formal dealings with the EFF, and I respect the decision of the FedEx as the highest decision-making body within the Democratic Alliance, and so I will leave that at that.
Okay, Mayor, so Helen Zille spoke publicly about this issue, and it was clear the FedEx was not in support. So what do you do now with the EFF?
Well, the FedEx has decided, and like I said, I stand by the FedEx decision.
You respect that. Mayor, when your counterpart in Ekurhuleni was voted out in a motion of no confidence, she said, okay, we can still do our best in the opposition benches. There was an acceptance there. You've gone the legal route. May I ask why? Do you believe that you really can't do much if you are in opposition? Why are you adamant that the ANC-led grouping coalition would be corrupt?
I followed what happened in Ekurhuleni. The mayor was ousted legally. Ekurhuleni was always in a vulnerable position. They were a minority government from the word go. And unfortunately, even though the EFF abstained in Ekurhuleni, they simply did not have the numbers to survive the motion of no confidence. However, processes were followed legally. So you can't compare what happened in Ekurhuleni to what happened in Johannesburg, where we had an illegal coup, where processes and the laws of this country were flouted. So I don't think that we can compare the two. I think Mayor Tanya is able to accept because she was ousted legally by a legal process. However, in Johannesburg, that never happened. And therefore, we can't accept the outcome of that illegal coup.
And people who are concerned about democracy in South Africa, finally, are pointing out the fact that all politicians are citing service delivery, saying that they're the best at service delivery. You are, the ANC is. But it seems like a lot of the coalitions are unstable because it's about power and position for all parties. Is it about power and position for you, Mayor?
It's never been about power and position. I don't know if you're familiar with my journey into politics. I was a medical doctor. I had a full life, a full profession, a successful career. This was about responding to the needs of individuals in Alexandra. That's where it started. But obviously, I've been exposed to the rest of the city now, and my mandate has gone beyond just Alexandra. But when I decided to put down my stethoscope, I'd actually cried nonstop for a week, and I felt very disempowered. I felt helpless. I saw my patients returning because I was giving them medication and sending them back into the same living environment that they were exposed to that was not conducive to their health and well-being. And I realized the only way to assist them was to get involved in government. And that's really what it's always been about. It's still about that right now. If you look around, you'll notice we've not yet arrived at a place where we can say everyone in Johannesburg has dignity, everyone in Johannesburg has a life they deserve.
In a few words, how long do you think you will be mayor for?
Oh, for as long as the odds are for me. It's politics. Anything can happen anytime. But when it happens, it must happen legally.
All right, thank you very much. Mayor of Joburg, Dr. Mpho Phalatse.